You are listening to the 90 Days Later podcast with Anna Charles, episode 122. Welcome to the 90 Days Later podcast, where I show you how life with less alcohol is more fun than you think. I work with high achievers who struggle to drink a glass of wine without it turning into 2 bottles. I'm the one they call when they want to take it or leave it. So if you want to change your relationship with alcohol that doesn't involve counting days sober, you're in the right place. Hello there and welcome back to the podcast. Now, as you know by now, I help brilliant high achievers to find freedom around alcohol by helping them to drink less or to stop drinking entirely. Now, regular listeners will know I don't demonize alcohol. I don't call it a poison. I don't think it has all the power. I don't subscribe to there being a certain amount that you drink that's good and that beyond that you have a problem. I think it is possible, completely possible, to change your relationship with it and to get back control so that you can decide in advance what you're going to drink and to drink just that. I say this because I believe we each know what's best for ourselves. In fact, I think this is critical. When my clients start working with me, I trust them to know their own minds and what they want to aim for. Now, in doing this work, I don't really talk about rules, right? Hard and fast rules about things you must do or things you must not do. I never, for instance, tell my clients what to drink or what not to drink. I never do this. Why? Well, for a start, because it's really none of my business, right? This is back to what I said just now. I believe in people knowing what's best for them. This is radical responsibility. This is embracing responsibility in having your own back. This is what I believe for my own life, having my own back always. And I teach my clients to have their own backs always, whatever they decide. And you achieve that by deciding for yourself what relationship you want to have with alcohol, and you achieve that by how you want to think about it. But I do this mainly because I don't find rules-based teaching works, right? Where I say don't drink more than X units, don't do this, don't do that. Because often when there's a rule, guess what? We want to rebel against it. We end up turning against those things that we have set for ourselves, all right? And so by turning against a rule that we've set for ourselves, it's a shortcut way to turning against ourselves. What happens is we say things like, I'm an adult, I'll drink if I want to have a drink, or if I'm going to have one, I'm going to have one, even if, truth be told, we really don't want one. But perhaps there are some of you listening to this who say, but I like rules, Anna. They help me. I like rules in all areas of my life. But here's what I want to offer. It's not the rule or rules that's working for you, because a rule, think about it, is just a set of words strung together. What's working for you are your thoughts about the rules. If we see rules as helpful and something that we genuinely want in our lives, then you are making that rule your own, which is great. But I want you to know that it's you deciding that you like the rule rather than the rule itself being good. And this is why a rule will work for one person and not for another. If we see rules as stupid and unnecessary and overbearing, we are not making them our own. So I often talk about your reasons rule, right? Not the rules themselves. In fact, I gave a presentation on this for the fantastic Moderation Management Organization back in January. If you want a link to it, feel free to email me at anna@90dayslater.co and I will get that link to you. Now, I say all this as a preamble to the meat in this podcast. And some of you may feel a bit triggered by what I'm going to say in terms of, these are a couple of circumstances that you may frequently come across in your life. All right, so I'm going to give you these 2 circumstances where I will give a strong recommendation to decide ahead of time that drinking in these situations is a flat no. Now again, it's up to you if you do this or not. I don't want you going out there saying, but Anna says I need to do this, and then finding that you're not able to follow through because it's a rule and you really react against rules, and then you use that against yourself, right? Along the lines of, well, it makes so much sense and it seems so easy and Anna recommends it, but I'm not even able to do that one thing. No. We will not go there. It is not helpful. Okay, so I'm going to give you the two circumstances. In fact, they're in the title of the episode. And I'm going to give you some questions for you to ask yourself about them, because I want you to understand your thoughts about these circumstances, right? Because remember, as you know, it's how you look at the circumstance that's going to determine if you're successful or not. You might find these a breeze, you might find them really hard, you might find them a mixture, whatever it is. But we're going to be curious and look at our thoughts here. All right, so the first one is, the first strong recommendation I have is don't drink because the drink is just there. Right? It's kind of unexpected access to alcohol. This might be that maybe you're not really in the mood for a drink, or maybe you haven't really thought about what you'll drink yet, or maybe this was going to be a day when you were aiming to be alcohol free. And then you're faced with unexpected alcohol. You have the opportunity to drink it. For instance, perhaps your friend buys you a glass of wine because they wanted to surprise you. Or maybe you're staying at a hotel, and this has happened to my clients a lot. You're staying at a hotel and the hotel management team, they gift you a bottle of wine or a bottle of champagne as a thank you. That's another way this shows up, another circumstance. Or another way, perhaps, maybe you're out at dinner with friends and you've had your planned amount of wine, but there's a little bit left in the bottle. It's just there. It seems a shame to let it go to waste. So you drink it because it's there. Another way this circumstance shows up is maybe even if you do have a plan, but you come across this circumstance of unexpected alcohol and you're wondering, how does this impact my plan? Or how could I make this fit into my plan? For instance, you may have decided you're going to have 2 glasses of wine with dinner at home with your wife, and then before you leave the office, someone's at the company and they're having some mini celebration, and you get invited to this impromptu drinks party, around where you make the tea breaks, right? So it wasn't on the plan, but they're there, they're celebrating, I don't know, perhaps something magnificent has happened in their life, and you're starting to think, what does this mean for my plan of 2 glasses of wine that I was going to have at dinner tonight? Now, this, by the way, this concept of unexpected alcohol is a great example of why trying to avoid alcohol, which I covered in episode 120, doesn't really work in the long term, right? Because you don't control the world, you don't control other people, and you certainly don't control society. But, my friend, you do control yourself. Now, I'm going to offer that in these scenarios, however this shows up, this idea of unexpected alcohol, it's a great example of making this a clear reason to say no. Because of your reasons. Because you are going to be drinking, if you feel that you would actually then go ahead and have the drink in any of these circumstances I've spoken about, you will simply be drinking because it is there. Warning, you will not see it as that in the moment. Your brain will do a very deft job at talking yourself into it in a way that makes sense. This is when we say things like this to ourselves. We say things like, it would be rude not to, right? If a friend unexpectedly buys you a drink, it seems such a waste. The alcohol is sitting there in the bottle. This doesn't happen every day. It's not like this happens every day. This is a treat, for instance, when a hotel gifts you a bottle of wine. Or even you might think, but actually, I really like the idea of this person having gone out of their way to give me this little present of a glass of wine. They chose it for me. It's so kind of them. I actually really like the idea of having it. But really, my friend, in these scenarios, I just want you to ask yourself this one question. This kind of will be the As my dad used to say, the yardstick. This is the yardstick that you're going to measure yourself against, right? This is how it's going to determine what place you are taking action from. Am I drinking this alcohol because it's there? And then be honest with yourself. If you answer yes, I would just decide ahead of time, you can do that right now, listening to this, that it's going to be a flat no every time. It's just I don't do that. That's just not part of who I am. Because would you ever plan to drink just because it's there? I want you to think about that. Now, if you absolutely would put in your plan, I'll have a drink if alcohol happens to be there, and you like your reasons for that, be my guest and have the drink. Like I said at the top of this podcast, I'm not here to dictate rules to you. I'm not the rule maker. But I encourage you to really look at this to make sure you like your reason. Because if you do, you will back yourself and there will be no recriminations later. If you don't, that's when we know we get into, why did I do that again? I'm such a screw up. I'm never going to learn. Need to go back to day one. We get into that spiral. But if you put your hand up, say, yeah, I would have planned to drink it because it was there and I did and I feel okay with that. Well, then that's a different outcome entirely. So that was the first circumstance I wanted to cover because it's there. The second, this one I'm going to cover now, is one that regularly used to trip me up. And if you're in the corporate world or if your work involves entertainment of any kind, right, client entertainment, reseller entertainment, this is going to be something you're going to come across on the regular. And this is drinking because it's free. This is a growing challenge to navigate, I believe, or I hear about as well. You just have to go out into society, and this is all part of the glamorization and the socialization, normalization of alcohol. You get wine or Prosecco or champagne or beer. It's given out free these days in all sorts of circumstances. You can go clothes shopping, nail bars, hotel receptions, checking in at hotels. My word, I remember this. It was kind of a boutique hotel in London, and we were in there. We wanted to check in, and we were frazzled. We'd had a long journey. We just wanted to get to our room, and they kind of insisted on this whole performance about sitting us down. How are we? Did we want some wine, or maybe it was champagne? I don't remember. But did we want a glass of something to drink? Let's say no. We really would just like our room key, please. Right. So anyway, checking in at hotels. You go to an art gallery. There's often free plonk. Christmas markets. We were even offered old fashions. I think that's what they were called. I didn't even know at the time what it was, but it's that cocktail at a cinema. We were sitting in our seats at the cinema because the spirit company behind whatever the spirit was that's in old fashioned was sponsoring the film. Right? So there was free alcohol everywhere. We'd just gone to the picture house and there we are, swigging old fashions. Now, there's a couple of ways you can look at this. You can go into a bit of a rampage of, it's just so bad, they shouldn't do this, it's not right, this triggers me, don't they know there are people out there who are trying to drink less? Wah, wah. Right? All that, trying to control the outside world. But how has that ever helped? Exactly. But do not worry, I've got you. If you struggle with turning down drinks because it's free, I'm going to give you a thought that 9 times out of 10 is going to help. And it is a 9 times out of 10 thing, and I will tell you a little story in a moment. And this thought is, this alcohol is free because it's probably rubbish. You can, by all means, interchange a more fruity word in the place of rubbish, but I do like to keep this podcast clean. All right, so 9 times out of 10, this thought is going to serve you. They're probably serving this to me because it's rubbish. If that doesn't do it, I want you to look at what you're being offered. I mean, really look at what they are offering you. As in, really look at the table. Perhaps ask about the wine, find out more about it, and then ask yourself, is this something that you would ordinarily buy with your actual money? And if they don't know the answer, if it's just some youngster serving this at some drinks reception, again, I want you to think about, if I don't know what I'm drinking here, is that who I am? Now, you can say yes, you can say no. But remember, these are ways to help you navigate the situation. And if your answer is no, I wouldn't buy this, probably. Why would I drink it now? Just because it's free. Does the version of you who you are becoming, does he or she drink rubbish wine, or let's say even dubious quality wine that you would never choose to buy for yourself just because it's free? No, of course not. Thinking about it in these terms will make it easier to deal with the discomfort in the moment of turning down free booze. I mean, who loves free booze, right? It's what everyone assumes. Because you won't be idolizing it so much. Now, I said just now, that thought, right? They're probably serving it because it's rubbish. And that works 9 times out of 10. There will be exceptions to this. I do remember going to a summer party at the Gstaad Palace Hotel. It's just a fabulous hotel for those of you who like to travel. Probably my most favorite hotel in the whole world, or at least the ones I have been to. It's just a fantastic place. And they were holding this summer party for invited guests and so on, and they were pouring Veuve Clicquot champagne, i.e. the champagne that I really liked, and the champagne that I bought, and the champagne that I had in my house. So in those circumstances, you may like your reason for drinking it, even though it's free. But unless you hang out in the world of millionaires, in my experience, that is rare. In fact, I can only really think of that one time where I would have happily chosen to have drunk the free thing. I would have happily bought it. Most of the time, the stuff served isn't like this. So you're going to be safe asking yourself whether you'd buy it or not. And if not, to make the decision to not drink it. So in summary, while there aren't rules, I strongly recommend that if you are faced with drinking just because it's there or because it's free, that you decide ahead of time this is a flat no. Or you at least question yourself in the moment and get clear on your motives. One great way of doing this is if you're sort of in the reception type thing, is to absent yourself from the room. Just step aside, just step away. Just give yourself 30 seconds. Check in with yourself. How are you feeling? Because there are 2 things I do know. Unexpected events are always going to be happening. Always. You won't know them, and that's the whole point, right? They're unexpected. So if you allow yourself to drink because it's there or because it's free, you are going to be consistently drinking against your plans and going against yourself. Now, if you drink and you don't like your reason, that's where the retribution starts. That's where the beating ourselves up starts. That's when you get home saying, what on earth was I thinking? Why did I have that wine just because it was there when truly I didn't want it? Right? So this is an area where I would encourage you to adopt this as part of your drink protocol. That if ever you sense you're drinking because it's there or because it's free, that you just decide ahead of time you don't do that. If this resonates with you, come work with me. This is just one tiny piece of what I offer my clients. I know what's waiting for you on the other side of coaching. And when you work with me, I do everything in my power to get you from where you are now to where you want to go. You know what you want from your life. I can help you get it. I know how to help you get it. And I will not quit until you do. To get started, let's talk to see if we're a good fit for working together. Simply go to 90dayslater.co and click on the book a call button. You'll thank yourself for it. All right, thanks for listening. I will see you next week. If you like what you're learning in the podcast and you want to take the work further and achieve total freedom around alcohol, let's talk. I help my clients stop reaching for that first glass of wine the moment 6 p.m. rolls around and they don't miss out on life. Email me for more information on anna@90dayslater.co. And if you did enjoy the show, I'd really appreciate if you'd leave a rating and review to help others find the 90 Days Later podcast.